Hello, everyone. Welcome to Wait, What? Why? The podcast that ponders the origins behind the things that we do. Thank you for taking the time to join us today as we discuss the origins of St. Patrick's Day. We are the Gallaghers, and this show is going to be all about us, the St. Patrick's Day show.
This is all about us?
I'm Nicole.
I'm Dennis.
I just threw Dennis for a...
Sure, curveballs. All right. I hit curveballs.
Well, we are the Gallaghers.
Yes, we are.
I figure we should just throw that out there.
Yes.
Should be our
And
intro
welcome.
now.
Welcome. Thanks for listening.
Yes. So,
how is this all about us? What are you kidding me?
we're Irish.
Oh, yeah. Here we are. Yes. So?
Yeah, that's it.
St. Patty's Day?
Our episode's St. Patty's
Yeah,
Day.
but I don't
yes.
think you told the folks that.
I did.
Did you?
Oh, my God.
Oh, all right. I missed it.
When I said, and thank you for taking the time to join us today as we discuss the origins of St. Patty's Day.
Jeez, and crow. I'm sorry. Behind the curve already. You don't want this to be about us.
No,
Look where I'm at.
That's because Dennis decided since it was St. Patty's Day, he should drink while we do this. So cheers.
Cheers.
Cheers. We will
yes.
have a drink while
Can't make the snapping noise because it's already open.
as we discuss the origins today. So, how are you? What's
I'm
going
good,
on?
I'm good. Busy. Yeah, busy. So I can't complain. Daughter's home, so getting some things done with her, and yeah, business. It's good.
Yeah, good. Hannah's home for spring break, listeners, just in case you were wondering what's happening.
Yep.
And Den's full of it because he was just telling me how sore he was right before
Oh yeah, my abs are killing me. It's true. Oh, I'm all banged up anyways.
exercising and trying to take care of his body, and he's sore.
Being almost
but a good
52,
sore.
yeah,
Good
almost,
sore.
almost 52. Everything's sore all the time, anyways. And then you exercise on top of it. It feels like you're really beating yourself up and trying to do good.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a weird dynamic, but yeah, I'm sore.
It's for
Good
the better.
sore.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No worries.
No.
And like I said, you're sore all the time.
I'm sore all the time. I work out every day and I'm always sore. Which is, it's a good sore. It's better than being like broken because you don't.
Injury.
Yeah.
Sure.
All right.
So St. Patty's Day, this is like one of our favorites for sure.
Yeah, it's
For a
good.
lot of reasons.
I really feel like this episode is it's like a nice flow from Mardi Gras, which was our last episode, the Carnival Cruise, where we talked about Mardi Gras and how it was like that last hurrah before going into Lent. And St. Patty's Day has a little twist on that. So
Interesting.
I think that'll be
I look
interesting
forward
to
to
tie
hearing that.
into.
Cool.
Yeah. So if you haven't listened to that episode, you should check it out.
Yeah, listen to that one before this one.
Yeah.
Not necessary, but do
It
it.
doesn't, yeah. Order doesn't matter, but. So what do you, tell me everything you know about St. Patty's Day. What do you know?
What do I know about St.
Yeah.
Patty's Day? What do I think I know about St. Patrick's Day?
Yeah, like just traditions or things.
So obviously there's big parades and, celebrations, pub crawls, celebrations that way. And I celebrate, everyone's green, right? Everyone's Irish on St. Patrick's Day is the saying.
And to wear green. You should all wear green.
Yeah, everyone wears green and shamrocks everywhere and stuff, green beer and, whatever it is. For us, it's corned beef and big,
Cabbage.
corned
Boiled
beef and cabbage,
dinner,
boiled
yeah.
dinners and, and loving all that stuff that you can't eat all the time. And, also like St. Patrick, didn't he drive all the snakes out of Ireland? And
That is
so I got some stuff. I think I know what I'm talking about. I'm sure you'll educate me, but I don't know where it all started or anything like that. I mean,
Right.
It's always been a big deal for me and my family. Like you said,
Started
we're
in
Irish
Ireland.
family. Dennis Patrick Gallagher, guilty as charged. So,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah,
I'm not
that was
way off.
pretty
Yeah,
good.
I'm pretty good.
Yeah.
Did I ruin your whole episode?
No, God, you could never.
No,
The only
'cause
thing you
it's
didn't
so much
bring up were
information. I love it.
leprechauns, but
Leprechauns. Yeah.
because when our kids were little, we would set up leprechaun traps.
We would.
I don't know if any
They tried.
families do that, but we had a mischievous leprechaun that would visit our house and leave little green footprints all over the floors.
And drink the whiskey. We'd leave out
Drink the
whiskey
whiskey.
for them, like in a
With
shot glass, right? The girls would pour a shot glass and leave it out for them.
And
That's so
there'd be
funny. I haven't thought of that in a lot of
There'd
years.
be like little feet prints on the toilet seat and green toilet water.
And he'd leave toilet
like
paper all over the place. He terrorized every year, or he or she, a leprechaun, terrorized every year. That's so funny.
So, yeah.
And the kids always tried to catch him. They set up traps. They had snare traps. And,
Yes,
and,
they would try to trap him.
Oh, yeah.
That's what it was.
Yep, boxes with the sticks, drop
Yeah.
box. Oh, yeah. It's no
That
joke.
that was a much more fun tradition than Elf on a Shelf.
Well, Elf on a Shelf, we were late for that.
Now, Elf on a Shelf was like something I didn't want to have to do, but like
But you like doing
Hannah's,
that. You
all
like
of
doing
Hannah's
the leprechaun,
friends had it, and then Hannah'd be like, everyone, so-and-so's elf showed up last night, and I'd be like, oh, stupid elf.
Cheers, everyone. Cheers.
But, so the mischievous leprechaun was a lot of fun.
We did, yes.
I think that's the only thing I had to add, too.
Oh, really? I covered all the rest of it for the most part? Okay, cool.
All right. So
I'm earning my keep.
Yeah.
Good.
All right. So I'll dig in. So it's kind of like a 3-part episode. I feel like I do this all the time, but a little bit of the origins, a little bit of the traditions, and then how it came to America, and then some fun facts to follow.
Sounds like a logical evolution, though.
Yeah. Thank you for that. Good. All right. So here we go. The Irish have been celebrating St. Patrick's Day for over 1,000 years. He was the patron saint of Ireland and Ireland's national apostle, which means that he was credited with bringing Christianity to Ireland and then teaching.
Well, that's a big deal.
Christianity to the Irish. Let's see. A lot of this came from History.com, which it usually does, with a few supporting sites to kind of back it up. But according to History.com, a lot of what is known about St. Patrick comes from a book he wrote later in his life called Confessio.
It's a fun name. Confessio.
I got to work on my accents. I got to work on my Irish accent for today. St. Patrick was born in Great Britain, most likely Scotland, and was kidnapped and brought to Ireland at the age of 16 by Irish pirates. While he was enslaved in Ireland, he worked as a herder for 6 years. And it's said that one night, St. Patrick heard a voice in his sleep that prompted him to escape. And he did, going back to Britain and reuniting with his family. But according to the book he wrote, Confessio, and this is a quote, according to Confessio, in Britain, Patrick had another dream in which an individual named Victoricus gave him a letter entitled The Voice of the Irish. And as he read it, Patrick seemed to hear the voices of Irishmen pleading him to return to their country and walk among them once more. After studying for the priesthood, Patrick was ordained a bishop. He arrived in Ireland in 433 and began preaching the gospel, converting thousands of Irish and building churches around the country. After 40 years of living in poverty, teaching, traveling, and working tirelessly, Patrick died on March 17th, 461 in Saul, where he had built his first church, unquote.
Wow, that's quite the story.
So he was, in fact, brought to Irish
of
under
English descent or British descent, whatever, and
Scottish.
Then Scottish. Okay, yeah.
It's just says Great Britain. Some said Roman Britain. Some say Scotland. But kidnapped, brought to Ireland,
and then felt the calling to go back.
Yes.
Well, that's a cool story
to convert them.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. And it always amazes me. I mean, like you say, 40 years impoverished, so impoverished, whatever, because obviously he was a very impressive guy and probably could have, been a shipbuilder or, or a world traveler or anything. Instead, he spread the word. That's a cool story.
It is.
Yeah.
When I think of the, I don't know, I'm going to get on a little pedestal here. I think about the kind of people that are worshipped or, admired today.
Oh, yeah, you always look up to the wrong people. Yeah, you look up to the wrong, exactly.
As opposed to
you don't look up to the same, St. Patrick's of the world anymore,
which
is unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
Sure. But hey, this guy rose to fame, right?
Well,
we're talking about him today.
He did, but he was, never got to him.
Hey, LeBron James has got nothing on St. Patrick. I'm not sure what you're trying to say.
I'm not saying that at all. I'm just saying poor St.
He's
Patrick
good at basketball,
was literally poor St. Patrick.
He poor, correct, impoverished.
Yeah.
Wow. That's crazy when you think about it.
So it was neat, learning about, I kind of knew that. I knew that he was kidnapped and then he went back. I also heard that the theory about the driving all the snakes out of Ireland, which we'll get to in a little bit. But the come into America, I thought was kind of neat. So that's what we're talking about. The Irish have been observing the Roman Catholic feast day of St. Patrick since the 9th and 10th century. So this is in Ireland. And in Ireland, they go to church in the morning, they have feasts and celebrations at night. So because this day takes place during Lent, which we talked about in Carnival Cruise, the period of Lent, the consumption of meat is waived.
Oh, so
for
it's
the Irish.
It's one free day.
It's a free day for the Irish.
The Irish Catholics get a free day on St. Patrick's Day. Is that
during Lent?
That is great.
Yes.
I've been taking advantage of that for years.
So, again, for those of you who didn't listen to that episode or maybe aren't Christian and don't know, or Catholic, I should say, and don't know about Lent, it's 40 days where you give up typically meat,
some sort
but
of sacrifice,
some sort of, people give up something during that time period. So for the Irish in Ireland, that day is waived during Lent.
I love that.
And they would feast on ham and potatoes and cabbage. It is believed that this became corned beef and cabbage, which is what we usually have on a boiled dinner
which we're
here.
Going to have coming right
which
up.
We are going to have, yeah.
Yep.
But it's kind of switched over to corned beef and cabbage or the boiled dinner because these foods were less expensive for the Irish immigrants in America. Mm-hmm. They couldn't afford pork or beef.
The ham was very expensive.
And
still is sometimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
So they substituted the beef or pork for corned beef and they substituted potatoes for cabbage, which is how we got corned beef and cabbage.
Yep.
So the first St. Patrick's Day parade ever actually took place in America, not Ireland.
We were parading people, aren't we?
And this, I had different things. So I had multiple sources that said this is accurate, so I'm going to go with it. Some other sources said that the first parade took place in New York City, but I found that the first Irish parade on St. Patrick's Day took place on March 17th in 1601 in the Spanish colony that is now St. Augustine, Florida, which is south of Jacksonville.
Mind blown.
Yeah.
It's not New York City.
It's not.
Where in Florida?
It's south of Jacksonville. It's now St. Augustine, Florida.
Holy cow.
And
tell on. That's crazy.
Well, and it was organized by it was a Spanish colony who had an Irish priest, vicar, named Ricardo Artur. So he was a Spanish colony's Irish vicar, which held the first parade for St. Patrick's Day in 1601 in Florida.
I love that boat parade. I think that's a hodgepodge sat right there. Wow. Well, I would have bet every day that it took place in New York. I think New York and Boston, a lot of those colonial cities had very big, Irish populations, and it took place in Florida. Yeah. By a Spanish Irish priest.
Right.
I love it.
Well, that's what I love too, because that's what America is, right?
Sure,
we're all from everybody all over.
Yeah, that's a great story right there.
It's a little crazy.
Cool.
So over 100 years later now, we're fast forwarding to March 17th, 1772 was the first parade in New York City.
I was going to say, please tell me they're parading in New York by then.
Where it was homesick Irish soldiers that were in the English military that marched through New York City. So it wasn't... it was organized, but it wasn't like a big parade. But in honor of St. Patrick. Okay. So that happened in 1772.
Like I said, I'm surprised by that. The Florida thing, that's a great little factoid.
Isn't that fun?
It is. That's cool.
Yeah. And then over the next 35 years or so, we have Irish patriotism among American immigrants increasing, and Irish Aid was created. This also kind of made me think of when we were talking about the carnival cruise or the parade cruise, how they had those elite societies that formed to create parades, except this Irish Aid was not elite. It was just created to help Irish immigrants. Excuse me. So this included groups such as the Friendly Sons of St. Patrick and the Hibernian Society, who would organize annual St. Patrick's Day parades. And these were mostly like Irish Catholic fraternal organizations. Okay. So the members were mostly male, Catholic, either born in Ireland or Irish descent. They had to be...
Like first generation.
They had to be linked. Okay. To be in these societies.
So again, kind of an elitist or a group.
Just they wanted to be able to help the Irish, so they formed, and you had to prove that you were of descent in order to be part of that society, I guess. Okay. I wouldn't necessarily call it elite. Okay. Because of the time period. But.
And what years are we talking about here?
This is like late 1800s.
That's right. You said 35 years after whatever that other date was.
Mid to late. So I have right here in 1848, the Irish Aid Societies in New York united to form the first official St. Patrick's Day parade. This is now the oldest and largest parade in the United States, has typically over 150,000 participants, and is approximately 5 hours long, typically brings in over 3 million spectators.
Well, no kidding.
So it's a pretty big deal.
Absolutely. Now, when was Ellis Island in the Irish? When was that humming with Irish people? Like, when did the Irish population swell? Do you know? Is that about that time?
I think it is about that time. I'd have to fact check, but as you know, like the love of the Irish. I mean, there wasn't a lot of love for the Irish.
No, they weren't welcome with open arms.
No.
Well, because they were mostly uneducated and, that kind of thing. And a lot of them didn't have skills and they had families with them.
I think it was more, not that they were uneducated or unskilled, because they were obviously coming here to escape the potato famine. But their religious beliefs and their weird accents and just anything different, right? Anything different from what you're used to is you're stereotyped or you're treated or discriminated against in some way, right? Sure. Okay. So I think that's a lot of what was going on. And I don't know that I have a time period, but I can look that up. The newspapers, so like the discrimination was huge. The newspapers
the Irish need not apply signs and that kind of thing.
Yeah, they would portray them. And I found this in a couple of different places. Some say, so they were often portrayed as drunk.
Drunkards.
And violent and portrayed as like monkeys or apes within like, what do I want to say?
Cartoons?
Yeah, or just depictions in the newspapers. Okay. Yeah. So it was really hard for them to get work. It was hard for them to do, find good housing. So I think a lot of immigrants to America first coming over
similar kind of situation. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
But I just wonder, I'm curious, I bet it's about this time where you talk about how they, they finally get active or, they finally get organized rather, as far as the parades are concerned.
Right.
I bet bet that's about that time.
I'm just going to do a quick little fact check here.
Yeah, we'll use the Google.
Yeah, 1892 to 1954. Wait.
But was that an active time for Irish? When was the potato famine?
I said influx. All right. 1850.
Okay, so that's right around that. You got it. Okay. I'm not surprised. And I have no idea, well, you do now, but I didn't know when certain peoples were, because there was swells of Italians at one point. There was swells of, all the people who ever come from around the world. Ellis Island was a busy place. But I know a lot of Irish that ended up in New York, New York Harbor.
Yeah, absolutely.
The hub.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously, I feel like we could talk a lot about discrimination of the Irish or any group of people. So just know that, we're kind of glossing over it and moving on to get to the origins, but not to take away
downplay?
from.
I'm not downplaying anything.
No.
I just asked the sidebar question.
No, I just want the listeners to know, because I even had that in my notes. I don't want to gloss over, that the obstacles and the, horrendous living conditions that certain groups had to go through, including the Irish.
Absolutely.
I don't want to take away from the suffering that happened for ancestors, but I do want to get into, maybe just move along with our little story of the origins.
Right. Let's do St. Patrick's Day. All
right. So the Irish were smart, and there were a lot of them here. And so they realized that there were power in numbers, and they began to organize and became an important swing vote for political hopefuls. So much so that in 1948, President Harry Truman went to the St. Patrick's Day Parade in New York City, which was a very big deal for the Irish, a success for them, if you will. They considered it, very successful that they had.
It's being recognized. It's being acknowledged is what they were going for, I'm sure. Trying to find that equal footing that, again, every immigrant group has struggled to find. Mm-hmm. So, I can see that being a big deal. Cool.
So that's kind of the overview of how it kind of became a big thing in America.
Mm-hmm.
And the parades, I think, are huge in Boston, New York City. Oh, there was a couple of other places that are considered the biggest. But Boston and New York City are by far the biggest, New York City being the top one for St. Patrick's Day.
It's not Augusta, Florida?
It's
or
not
whatever.
St. Augustine,
St. Florida.
It's not.
Where it all started, right?
Also, and I maybe we'll spend time on this later, but I also learned that it's celebrated around the world. So it's celebrated in countries like Japan and Singapore and Russia, although we're not going to talk about Russia right now.
No, we can talk about Russia.
Well,
it's not a political show.
They're on my naughty list.
I get that.
So it's celebrated all around the world in different ways, but I also thought that was kind of cool because, it's an Irish holiday.
Yeah, no, very cool.
And the Irish do not celebrate it the way Americans do, but we'll get into that in a hot second.
We may actually finally get some feedback from our Irish and audience overseas on this.
I hope so.
I hope so, too. I really do.
Oh, and if you...
Because we are just, again, Yankee Americans celebrate in our own way. I'd love to know how everyone else does. I'd love to know how someone in Japan, you mentioned Japan or anything like that, and that would be great.
And we do have listeners on all the continents. It's kind of crazy.
We do.
Not Antarctica.
We appreciate every single one of you. It's fascinating. It's awesome to know we can reach out across the world the way you do nowadays. It's nuts.
And I know that a lot of you listening make fun of our accents, so I would implore. You don't make fun, but I know we have. I'm told. We have a little bit of
you can make fun of my accent.
Boston accent or a New England accent, but I would love for a voice memo from someone somewhere else.
WMVs or whatever.
If you're in Glasgow right now, I want a voice message from you
telling
me about.
Because I'm sure, and we love that accent. We love all the accents.
I love it so much. I would actually try to do it, but I'm not good at that. I would butcher it. You've heard me try to say French names.
No.
It's just terrible.
It is not good.
All right. So legends.
Yeah, moving on.
Fun fact, Shamrocks.
Yes.
Which are part of the St. Patty's Day tradition. I didn't know why. I just picture the magically delicious.
Right, yeah. Lucky Charms. Everything is Lucky Charms to us, right?
Yes, I couldn't think of the cereal.
Just Yankee Americans.
Oh, my gosh.
Yes.
But I found out that legend says that the shamrock, the importance behind the shamrock is that's what St. Patrick used to teach the Holy Trinity as a visual. The Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. It's 3 leaves.
Holy cow, mind blown again.
Yes.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
I know. So there's actually a way deeper meaning to a shamrock than it's just lucky.
No kidding.
Yes. Wow. And it had nothing to do with a 4-leaf clover. I don't know.
4-leaf clover is different. That's
different than a shamrock.
That's not an Irish thing.
No. That's just a rare find. Yep. So if you find it, you're lucky.
Absolutely.
But so it helped to explain the Holy Trinity. Legend also says that he would baptize hundreds of people in a single day, obviously converting people over to Christianity. Mm-hmm. Another legend was that he drove snakes out of Ireland. Right? So
I wonder if there are snakes in Ireland.
There aren't.
There aren't?
So
are you kidding me?
Research has shown, at least the stuff I've read upon is there are no snakes.
So St. Patrick is still doing his job.
Fossil record.
Wow.
They have no fossil records of snakes. I also found that some think that this is an allegory for St. Patrick driving the snakes out of Ireland was actually an allegory for St. Patrick converting everyone to Christianity and driving the pagans out.
Okay. I can see
Ireland.
that. I can see that. However, there's no fossil evidence that they have snakes. That's a big one.
Or pagans. No, I'm just kidding.
I'm sure there's still pagans. That's nuts.
No fossil evidence.
No fossil evidence of pagans, yes.
So, I thought that was neat.
Another cool story. Yeah, I like that.
And then a fun fact about leprechauns, because I was like, I wonder why leprechauns. So the original Irish name for leprechauns is Lobercine. How's that for my accent, guys? I'm really trying hard. I even asked Google how to pronounce it.
Lobercine?
It's spelled Lobaircin. Google told me it was pronounced Lobercin. Lobercin.
And why did you not trust the Google machine?
Anyway, it means small-bodied fellow.
Leprechaun.
So, leprechaun. So the belief in leprechauns stems from the Celtic belief in fairies, it's believed, the tiny men and women who would use magical powers to serve good or evil. In Celtic folk tales, leprechauns were cranky souls responsible for mending the shoes of other fairies.
They were cobblers.
They were cobblers. And, hold on, do you want to cheers, everyone?
Cheers.
There you go.
Oh, get on the microphone.
Happy St. Patty's Day. Look at that spike in our sound. Anyway, though only minor figures in Celtic folklore, leprechauns were known for their trickery, which often was used to protect their much fabled treasure. So they were cranky little people with treasures, right? And that's what we would do. Oh, with the girls, we would put like those little gold chocolate coins under the trap.
Oh, yeah.
to
try to lure them in.
Try to lure them in.
They can't say no to gold.
It was whiskey. We'd leave them like corned beef from dinner and a little gold chocolate.
Yeah, the mice probably loved us, leaving corned beef.
That's so funny. Oh, I miss those times.
Yeah, that's maybe with the grandkids.
Yeah. So another fun fact, which wearing green is a tradition because it's supposed to make you invisible from the leprechauns. So the lore has it that leprechauns can't see green. So if they would see you, obviously they couldn't see you if you were wearing green. So if you weren't wearing green, they'd see you and they'd pinch you.
Huh.
And so it became a little tradition for people to pinch others who weren't wearing green on St. Patty's Day.
I can see that. That's cool. Yeah, leprechauns they're no joke.
And this is the biggest fun fact, which I kind of already told you because I was like, no way. But until the 1970s, the Irish law mandated that pubs were closed on March 17th.
Until the 70s.
Whole debauchery of everyone's Irish, let's drink green beer
drunk
and
on St. Patrick's
whiskey
Day.
and celebrate St. Patrick's Day is all a farce. It wasn't real in Ireland. They were closed because it was a day of worship for St. Patrick, and they could, I should say in Ireland, it was feared that if the pubs were open during this waiver on Lent, because remember it's during Lent, so you're supposed to be in this period of, confessing your sins, yes, that it would just be too tempting for
if they
some.
open the pubs, they're going to drink Guinness. There's no way they're not going to.
And they didn't want some, disrespectful amount of drunkenness happening around the streets of Ireland on a day that was supposed to be solemn. So
they really were more devout about, I guess, what it was supposed to be. And so we were probably partying over here in the United States for 100 years.
Before then.
Yeah.
Yeah, way before then.
Yeah. Well, like I said, parades and whatever. And,
yeah.
No kidding.
And drinking.
Really?
So, yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That is. That's crazy. The 70s.
Yes.
Not the 1770s?
No,
the 1970s?
The 1970s. Until the 1970s, it was mandated that they were shut down. So,
well, you're welcome, Ireland, because we obviously knocked down the gates on that one. Right? I'm sure we don't get credit for much, but you're welcome.
St. Patrick's Day didn't become an official Irish public holiday until 1903 with the introduction of the Bank Holiday Ireland Act of 1903. This act was introduced by the Irish Member of Parliament, James O'Mara, who was also responsible for the law that required the closing of pubs on March 17th.
Oh, so this is overseas?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
This is all
Ireland.
Parliament,
I'm sorry. Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
He's very cute when he's drinking,
guys. Oh, thanks.
Before the drinking ban was repealed, there was only one place in Ireland where one could buy a drink on March 17th, which was the Royal Dublin Dog Show. I also found that to be a fun fact.
That is a fun fact. That's nuts.
The dog show would see a wide audience with not just dog lovers attending, but also writers and politicians and anyone else who wanted to do more than eat chocolate and sweets on this one cheat day during Lent. So this one cheat day during Lent is a pretty big deal.
Yeah. Yep.
The Irish get a cheat day.
No kidding.
I wonder if the rest of the religions know that.
Oh, God.
Or the rest of the...
We deserve it. That's all I can say.
I shouldn't say religions. I should have said, heritages. You know what I mean? Like all those other cultures.
Does everyone else have a cheat day?
Yes.
Like a built-in cheat day? Because the Irish do.
And that's
St.
probably
Paddy's
why
Day.
everyone's Irish on St. Patrick's Day.
That's right.
So this law was actually repealed. So I said until 1970s, but the law was actually repealed in 1961. So now the Irish are as free to get as drunk as the Americans who use the day to get drunk celebrating the Irish.
That's right.
That's some irony.
Happy St. Patrick's Day, everyone.
That's just fun.
They started it. We kind of dirtied it up, and it took them 100 years to say, all right. Like, okay.
And they wanted, I didn't really talk about this, but Ireland started to open up and want to, have tourism and have people come and learn about their cultures, and the pubs around there are part of their culture.
And they're awesome. So yeah.
I wouldn't know. We have yet to go.
We have a bunch of secondhand knowledge. That's right.
We do.
Yep. So it's on our to-do list.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll bring this roadshow over there one of these days.
So that's really all I had.
Well, that was pretty cool if you ask me.
Yeah, I mean, there are, again, some traditions around the world, but I feel like ending on that, just the fact that the pubs weren't open on St. Paddy's Day, kind of mind blown.
Right. Well, again, started off as a religious holiday.
Yeah, solemn day of worship.
He was a saint, and the work he did as a man of the cloth, and I totally get that. But yeah, you have in our narrow memories, and it seems all about the partying. Everyone's like all about the partying and getting together, and it's cool to kind of revisit.
And the Irish music, and that's,
and the corned beef, love it.
Yeah,
and
just a little fun fact. Well, that's what I was just going to say. My favorite part about the boiled dinner is the next morning, Den will make it into like a corned beef hash, but he keeps like all the vegetables in it. So like the cabbage and the carrots and the turnips and all of that. And
all of it.
Does it up on a griddle with eggs. And oh my gosh, if you have not tried that, it's the most amazing thing ever.
Yeah, it reheats well, for sure. Reheats well. Yes, agreed. Well, this was fun.
Yeah, so that's it. A little bit about the history of St. Patrick's Day. We are...
It wasn't all about us either, right?
No, I was just kidding.
Started off all about us.
Well, he said it's going to be about the Gallaghers.
Yeah,
welcome.
Right.
Wait, what? Why? Yes. Welcome to the Gallagher Show.
Right. Yeah. No,
Today we're going to learn about the Irish tradition.
You had a lot of cool facts in there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that was awesome.
So I think I'll wrap it up then.
Excellent.
All right. So for all of our lovely listeners, I just want to remind you that in order to help our show grow, it really helps if you share out there on your social media with a friend, or you can like or leave a review. Reach out to us if there's something you want us to dig into to find the origins behind. We would appreciate it. We also have our Patreon account. You can reach out to us on any of our social media. We are Wait What Why Pod on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and you can email us at waitwhatwhypod@gmail.com. And we'd like to send a thank you out to Francis for our podcast artwork.
Thank you, Francis.
Thank you, Francis. And happy St. Patrick's Day to everyone. Cheers.
Cheers. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Happy St. Paddy's Day.
Enjoy. Everyone be safe. Bye-bye.